What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Atheist Roundtable. And hopefully you're catching this. And if you caught this a minute ago, we're going to do it all over again because StreamYard was acting goofy. But we're live, and we're excited to have everybody be a part of the show tonight. We've had a jam-packed week, and Jesus Mike, usually my co-host, he's working and helping behind the scenes production until we get to the why. That way we have a good produced video. Pasta and Jeff and Steve have been working very, very hard the last week or two, and they, well deserved, or you'll probably see them in the chat room, but they're taking a well needed break, and they deserve that. So you gentlemen, thank you very much. And Mike, Jesus Mike, had 3 tests today at school, aced all of them, and I think that's fantastic. So congrats to you, buddy. But I am Austin. I'm your host, and we have a great guest on with us tonight, and we'll dig into that here in a second. But a couple things that I want to make sure that we cover before we do that. First and foremost is the website and what's on there, and what all you can access there. So first and foremost is our store, where you can find our merch. And we have 4 shirts on there currently they can pick from. I am hopefully this week adding some new product on there. But the cool announcement for that is I finally got the company that I'm working with to make the updates. You can get the color and the size availability, so you'll know exactly what you can and can't get. So like I said, we'll be adding some new things on there. But if you buy one, go ahead and buy all 4. What the hey? You look good in all 4 of them. So personal favorite mine right there, Logic Killed the Christian. That's my personal favorite, but we have those on there. And then if you want to be a part of the Atheist Roundtable, you want to have a seat and you want to talk to Mike and I, you want to talk to whoever's hosting that night, Jeff or Steve, or Pasta gets on here. Now Brina, our newest co-host, you want to get on here and chat and hang out with us. You can go on there, select a day and a time, and if it's available, we'll get you on there. So that's a great way to to get connected and hooked up with us and get you on the store. So we have that, and then the Patreon link will be back up on there tomorrow. Something got kind of screwy with the link, so we'll have that back up on there tomorrow. But patreon.com, if you put in the Atheist Roundtable in the search bar, will pop right up. But we'll have all that set back up, and I think that's all I want to talk about for that. But for the rest of the weekend, so tomorrow we're taking the night off. It's a well-deserved rest night for the Atheist Roundtable crew. They've been getting at it really hard the last 3 weeks, and they deserve, even tonight, but tomorrow, for everybody just kind of take a breath before we hit a crazy weekend. So Friday night we have Rob Yannock. He's a pastor of about 25 or so years. He's authored 2 or 3 Christian books. He travels really globally, speaking and that kind of thing. And that one's going to be awesome. It's going to be a great show. And then Saturday, Brina being our newest co-host at the roundtable, she's going to be on, and her and I are going to discuss mental health and exiting religion, and how do you process that? How do you approach that? And even if you're a non-believer now, and a skeptic, and atheist, and you just have some mental health things that you struggle with, and that you have to fight through on a daily basis, like Brina and I do. Maybe we can give you some best practices. We're by no means professionals. We're not psychologists, but we do have the personal day-to-day fight, and we know what that's like. So we'll have that. And then Sunday, one of our what's become one of our good friends to the show and to us, Chris from the Daily Atheist, is going to be on Sunday night, and that's going to be awesome. And we're really looking forward to that. And Chris has a great sense of humor, great demeanor and everything. And I think that show's going to be a lot of fun. So that being said, that's going through, through the end of the weekend. And we're really pumped up for, from tonight going through Sunday and ending the weekend with the bang with Chris. So that being said, let's get down to business here at the round table. And we have a great guest coming on tonight, and I had some conversations with him several weeks ago about getting him on the show, and I think he's going to add a little different insight than we're used to from theists and non-believers. I think he has an interesting story, and I think it's going to be fun to talk about. And I think all of us are going to find some things to take away from it. So first and foremost, Atheist Ranger, how are you today, sir? And how are you feeling?
Very, very tired, but other than that, I'm fine.
Okay. Yes. So Ranger, he works a pretty tough schedule as far as his shifts and everything, and he kind of got held up yesterday, his last shift. So he's got some rest, but I can understand why he'd feel a little exhausted tonight. But I will say that I think the horns will bring you extra granted powers tonight.
Thank you. I paid $30 for these headphones.
So no, I like that. That's awesome. And then real quick, and it's I always want to make sure we plug when we have folks in that have their own YouTube page, and they're doing that. We want to promote that. We want to help them as much as other people have helped us. So if you go search Atheist Ranger on YouTube, you're going to find his page. So please go if you haven't subscribed. As all the cool YouTubers say, smash that button, and do all that. But go check him out, and then also he has his personal Facebook page, and he wanted us to put that up there, and gave us permission to put that up there. You can also connect with him there if you'd like to do that, and we'll make sure throughout the show that we're throwing those up there so that as you continue to get to know him a little better and you hear his story, if you want to connect with him, you want to follow him on YouTube, please make sure you do that. So Ranger, we went through the format, via email, and then again in the pre-show, so we're all clear on, kind of the direction we're going here this evening. So without wasting any more time, please tell us give us the what's your story? What have you been through? How'd you, what's brought you to, being the human, the man you are today?
Well, I have a very short story. I don't have, I didn't escape from religion, so to speak. I actually come from a non-religious family overall. I do have some religious family members. My father is an atheist, but he's not like outspoken about it like I am. The woman I call mother, let me correct that. The woman I call mom, she was raised Catholic, but she's a non-practicing Catholic. Really, the only time I ever got close to religion is actually I used to play basketball for a Catholic church. So that's really the only time I ever got close to religion, and I just put up with their stuff, so to speak. I can't say what I really want to say because I'm sure this is a family show.
We're not PG-13, so don't worry about it.
Okay, got it. Well, wasn't sure. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, I put up with their BS just to play basketball when I was a kid, but that's pretty much. But I'm a former deist. I actually used to defend theistic evolution, but I don't anymore. I try to defend evolution as best I can. I'm not exactly well versed when it comes to debating science. I mean, I'm not scientifically literate, but I know enough to know, to refute any creationist, so to speak. As to what made me the man I am today, I'd have to say probably my parents, especially the woman I call mom. She really pushed me to not let anything hold me back. A fun little thing about me, I have a mild form of autism. I was diagnosed when I was 7, and I got diagnosed specifically with Asperger's when I was 13. And the so-called specialist that I saw when I was a kid told my parents that I'd never be able to read, write, hold a job, drive a car. I can do all that shit. So, but yeah, my parents really pushed me to just be the guy I am today.
No, that's awesome, man, and I commend you for that. And I know I'm the only one on screen with you right now, but if I could get a huge round of applause from you if we were live with with an audience right now, a live audience. I would make sure that you get that, because you deserve that, and I think that's badass, man. So good for you. Congratulations on that and your success, and being an overcomer and a fighter. I think that's you're a badass, dude. And I don't give a shit what anybody says. You're a badass. That's it's fucking awesome. So I appreciate you sharing those things, and I love talking to other people that because we're opposite in the fact that I grew up entrenched in religion and doctrine, and you did not. You found you found this home base, so to speak, as far as belief or lack of belief, and we have two very different journeys, but here we are on a show together on YouTube in 2020, and we're still in the same position, and I love that, and I love that we can talk about that. So the one thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, I was trying to take some notes and listen in there, but can you just share again with me what your extent of involvement was with the church? I think what you said and what you had emailed me, something about like you had played some basketball games at a church or something like that was the extent of it.
Yes, that's the closest I ever got to religion. There was a Catholic church, probably about 15 minutes from where I lived. I'm originally from Delaware, by the way. I just a little info on me. I'm originally from Delaware. I lived in Vermont. I lived in Vermont for 3 years, and I've been living here in New York for about 2 months. But yeah, in Delaware, when I was a kid, there was a Catholic church about 15 minutes from where I lived. They did like a community outreach basketball team. I got on it, and that's pretty much the closest I got to religion. I did have to, before every game they prayed, and I want to say before, and I think after practice for like 5 minutes, we read some BS scripture that I didn't really pay attention to. But that's pretty much it.
Okay. Some BS scripture.
I'm just here for basketball. I wasn't paying attention.
Cool. No, I just liked how you explain that. Some BS scripture I pay attention to. But again, that to my earlier point, it's I love when I love when I can talk to somebody that's been a non-believer, a skeptic, whatever, their entire life, and Pasta, Pasta and I talk about this because he grew up like just it's always been kind of whimsical, to him, like why do people believe this? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I mean I just one tiny correction. I obviously wasn't religious, as you said, but I'm a former deist. Probably till I was like 16, I was a deist. I used to believe in God, but not the God of like any religion, so to speak.
Oh, that's right. Yep. I'm sorry. Yes. Yep. I'm sorry. But you had no religious ties. So
no,
speak, right?
Absolutely not. Like I told you before the pre-show, I've been an anti-theist longer than I've been an atheist. Even when I was a deist, I had very little respect for religion as an organization.
Okay, no, that's great. And when we get into the why, I think there's a lot of good questions and a lot of good dialogue we can have around that. So I'll save that for when we get there. But no, thank you so far for again your transparency. I always love when guests are transparent, about just real life, nothing to do with the religion, but the things that you shared with some of the diagnosis and how you have as a man, as a human. You've decided to just kick life in the fucking teeth and do what everybody told you weren't going to do. I think that's awesome. So thanks for sharing that. And that being said, I want to move into the how, because you did a great job there, kind of segueing it that you've been an anti-theist, longer than you've been even an atheist, but you still hold the common lack of beliefs, so to speak, there. So through that, like for me, there's the how is, there's kind of a long story there because of my religious upbringing. But for someone like yourself that really for the longest time has been a anti-theist, atheist, how did you, Ranger, how did you arrive to this destination? How did you get here?
How did I get here? That's a tough one because it mostly had to do with how the Christian community, at least where I grew up, treated the LGBT community. Um, I knew that I was bi since I was 16, but I didn't come out until about 5 years ago. I actually went to my first Pride event, I think about 3 years ago, right here in Albany. To anyone who is from New York in the chat, but yeah, it's mostly how the Christian community, so to speak, at least again where I was from, treated the LGBT community. We were looking at articles, stuff like that, and as far as me, as far as me doing like from the deist to atheist transition, when you're a deist, I mean that believing that God is just, I guess, a waste of time, because obviously, if you're to any deists out there that's watching this, you know that it really doesn't affect your life believing in that form of God. You pretty much just think that okay, the universe just had a designer, and he just went away and just did his own thing, pretty much. But yeah, believing in that God is the deist idea of God is just pretty much a waste of time. That's how I saw it, and I just, you know what? If there is a God, I'm sorry, poor choice of words. I misspoke. I just got to the point where, you know what? I'm only gonna the day a God appears before me is the day I believe in one. And I know that's not exactly popular among atheists, but that's just my position. The day I believe in God, the day I believe in God is the day one appears before me.
No, that's great, and that doesn't offend me at all, because there, a lot of times when I have discussions with theists, but specifically with Christians, and being especially in the Midwest, that's most of the conversations that I have. I goes first, or as far as saying this: if you can get your God and sit him on my lap and show me that he's real, and I can like shake his hand or whatever, like that'd be a really cool story. Like I can now acknowledge that your God is real. I'm still not going to serve him because I've read the Bible. Like I already know his transcript. I know his rap sheet. I know that he's a villain, and I'm not going to serve it. I'm not going to serve that God. So you don't offend me at all with that, because when people ask, what level of evidence or proof would you need to to believe in a God? Well, I'll tell him to sit on my lap or shake my hand or give me a hug or do something, but I'm still not going to serve him. So that, I think that's two different conversations.
Yeah, I agree, and I've said this before on actually many response videos. To me, bad evidence is the same as having none. But in fact, I go even further than that. The theist community does not have any evidence, because all they have are arguments, and as far as I'm concerned, arguments are nothing more than unsupportive claims.
Yeah, it's and it was great, and I wish I could remember who said it on one of the shows I was a part of the other night. And we were having a conversation, and it's just like the supernatural claim. If it's supernatural, it's irrelevant.
Yeah,
because you can't prove it.
Well, not only that, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're go ahead. I was done.
Okay, yeah. There's another position I've been looking up recently, because I actually heard it on a video and I want to look it up. It's called, and it may sound, I'm sorry if I mispronounce it. It's called agnosticism.
Yeah.
It's pretty much in fact, I have a tab right here if you don't mind me reading from the tab.
No, go ahead.
Okay, it's the theological position that every other theological position assumes too much about the concept of God and many other theological concepts. Pretty much means that before we can even have a discussion about the existence of God, I think we as human beings need to honestly have a coherent, and I would even argue objective. Thank you, whoever put that there. I think we should, as a human beings, have a coherent and I would even argue objective definition of the word God before we can even have that discussion.
Yeah, no, that's good. And if I can be transparent, like I said earlier, with when we have guests on, that's a new that was a new term or terminology that I hadn't heard before. So I just recently, within last week or two, started kind of reading and getting definitions and kind of finding the original the original source. Where did that come from? Why was that coined? Why was that phrase coined? And so I can't talk intelligently about it right now, but I'm definitely looking into it because it definitely has a lot of solid foundation, in my opinion. So on the how, then, so really what it sounds like, Ranger, and you tell me if I'm off base, but I think this is going to be a simple observation or synopsis on what you've told me is you kind of went through through your life, and you just examined things, and you've done a really good job, what it sounds like, of just always keeping a logical approach to everything. That you do very good at filtering your experiences and what people tell you, through that filter, through that lens of logic and reason and critical thinking, and so on and so forth. Is that would you feel like that's an accurate description of yourself?
Yes. Yes and no. My brain's, and I'm not trying to down myself, but I'm not exactly what you would call a quick thinker. So whenever I have these, whenever I've had like theist versus atheist discussions, mostly like through Facebook and stuff like that, I usually have to like research whatever the person I'm arguing with is saying, because I can't just come up with like retorts just like that. I have to think about it for a little while. But overall, yes, I always look up whatever claim my opponent, so to speak, is arguing.
Okay. No, and guess what? I'm not the I'm not the quickest guy. I'm more of a whether it was in school or even in my profession, I'm a methodical learner. Like I'm not the type just that I just take stuff in and I can spit it out real quick. I'm the type I have to spend time going through it, and learning it. So that I can relate to you with. But can I tell you, I think that's better rather than just having rapid fire decisions and rapid fire conclusions. I would rather be like you, or someone like you that it's a methodical approach where it's like, no, we're going to get, the quantity doesn't matter. Or do we have quality decisions? Do we have quality outcomes? Because sometimes when things are done with speed and haste, value is lost and important content, and meanings are lost. So I would say I would prefer to have, a conversation with somebody that's going to take their time in learning than just going through it as fast as they can. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, at this point, I've heard probably almost every theist claim out there that I can probably refute in my sleep at this point. But yeah, I actually agree. Learning something like learning new things is probably the best way to, have more weapons in your arsenal, so to speak.
Yeah. Nope. Yeah. The more tools in the tool belt, or sorry, the more tools in the tool belt, the more effective you are when it's showtime.
Yeah.
And that tool belt only gets bigger, and the tools are only acquired by doing the work behind the scenes. Then when it's showtime, then that's when all the tools come out. So that's a beautiful part of, whether you're in business or, you're doing debates or even athletics, all of those types of things, because it's people don't get to see what you do behind the scenes, but when it's showtime and it's like, oh man, this guy or this gal, they've been getting at it and I wasn't ready for that, and I'm sure if you're anything like me, there's a lot of times where people are like, oh, okay, he put a little more time in this than I thought he did. he's much more equipped than I thought he would be. So I think that's awesome. So that being said, I want to move into the why, and I want to make sure that I always try to have fun when we have a skeptic, atheist, now anti-theist on here, and have a little more fun with this part of it, because I think that's fitting. But I don't know how many. Are you a gamer at all, Ranger?
How can I put it this way? I like video games, love video games actually, but I wouldn't consider myself a gamer, especially since now the place I have doesn't exactly have cable, and I don't have a TV to hook anything up with. But I do love video games, but I wouldn't call myself a gamer, so to speak.
Okay, but you enjoy it. Like
yes, I love video games actually.
Okay, so you'll get my build up here then if you enjoy that. So here in a second I'm gonna bring Mike on screen. I want him to have some conversations with you, regarding especially the anti-theist part, because you're the first, anti-theist, or somebody at least came on and said that is my view. You're the first one, so I want him to be able to have that conversation with you about that. And we understand the differences of the terms, but a lot of people don't. So that's where we wanted to dig into that. But to me, that this is where it's kind of like you're playing a video game, and you go through the different levels, and each level gets a little more difficult, and the questions get a little more difficult, or whatever. To us, when we get to the why, and this is the fun part, is now this is the boss question. Now we're up against the boss, and this is where we get to have fun and really start to apply some pressure on the claim. And your claim is, and now for the record, we agree with you, but your claim is that there's not enough good evidence to support a God claim. And not only that, but you don't have any religious ties, to that whatsoever. So, Jesus, Mike, if you're ready to jump on, brother, I want you to start with the whys first, and jump into that, and get the why started. And I'll drop off here for a couple minutes and let you two chop it up a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot I guess I'd want to know in regards to. I guess my understanding of an anti-theist is more of like you kind of oppose, or I guess maybe I should ask, would you oppose somebody's right to practice a religion or have the belief?
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. I mean, like, for example, in fact, if I had the power to, I'd even stand up for the rights of street preachers. I've been asked that before, would you stop someone from street preaching? I'm like, no, as long as you're not harassing anyone, I don't care what you do.
Sure. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So where would the anti-theist come in, like in regards to, like, where does that line kind of get drawn for you?
For me, it's more like the organization of it, so to speak. Like, for example, you hear a lot of Christians like to brag about, the missionaries do a lot of good. I'm like, well, yes and no. I mean, yeah, they are feeding the hungry in these African nations, but at the same time, they're not giving, and this is just my personal view of it. People are more than happy to disagree, but they're giving them food in exchange for, hey, listen to the gospel. Whereas someone like me, I would just give them the food because they're hungry. So
you're basically saying like they're holding it ransom essentially for Jesus.
In my personal opinion, yes.
Yeah. As somebody who's volunteered in some things where I've seen that happen, I would agree with you on that, I guess, in some respects. So is it more along the lines of that any theistic organized position will fall into that category? Like, what would you say of like something along the lines of Jainism, or something that's like very positive but has like a central God being or something like that?
I don't know much about Jainism. As far as I don't really have a problem with what I would consider non-theistic religions, like religions that don't revolve around a God. But again, my position as an anti-theist is mostly just about organizations, and more importantly, organizations affecting government. I think that religion and government should be 100% fucking separate. 100 fucking percent. I think, in fact, I've been recently looking up Madeleine O'Hare. Pardon me if I'm screwing up her name. Madeleine O'Hare, and I truly believe that when it comes to religion, that should be something that is somewhat public but mostly private.
what would you have to say about an anti-theist movement that is a group advocating to either take away some kind of legislation or add legislation?
Can you give like an example of what kind of legislation?
Yeah, let's say an anti-theist group wants to ensure abortion rights for all people. Something just random we can use. Something that might actually coincide with an anti-theist. Or better yet, let's say that the anti-theist is advocating to make sure that there is absolutely no religious teaching within public schools. Would you say that the organization would that fall into the same category for you as an organization that's trying to legislate?
Well, the abortion thing, I would support them on. As far as religion and public school, that's a tough one because I actually took a world religions class. I found it to be very educational.
Mm-hmm.
As far as individual rights, I have no problem with a student obviously bringing a Bible to school. So, I mean,
So I guess what I'm trying to ask more so is, would you have a problem with an anti-theist organization that's trying to just legislate laws as opposed to a religious group?
I'm sorry, can you rephrase the question again? I think about it.
Because you mentioned like religious organizations, so I'm trying to kind of hone in where the part of the organization where that matters the most. If it was an anti-theist movement or even an atheist movement that is trying to get rid of this law or add a law, maybe they want religious teaching in the schools so that they can educate people and make a decision, whatever it would be. Would the idea of that organization that's kind of in the religious realm, so to speak, be problematic for you? Or is it just the fact that it's coming from like a theistic position in general? Does it start with God or does it start with the organization?
For me, it probably starts with, I'd probably say both, but as far as the anti-theist movement, again, as long as they won't try to, since we live in America, as long as they won't try to anyway trying to subdue First Amendment rights, I would absolutely join them.
Perfect. That's kind of where I was trying to go to. Was seeing where you were on that, because I know you had already mentioned.
Actually, you know what? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but to answer your question fully, even if a theistic organization was actually trying to keep, government and religion separate, I would actually, sign up.
Okay, so it's not entailed on the religious organization as much as it is the and you stop me if I'm wrong, but more so what's more so indicative of what religious organizations tend to do in that regard.
Yeah, for me, when it comes to the organizations, whether they're anti-theist or theist, it's about what they're doing.
Sure. Yeah, that's fair. I think that's very consistent. That's very honest. So you wouldn't say that you have any opposition towards a theist like themselves in saying, and I'm not even going into like the realm of what they believe, but does the anti-theist part leak into kind of like an intelligence level, like of how you would view that person's IQ or intelligence or anything on that matter? Does that have an effect on it, or?
It's kind of hard to say. I mean, I'm of the belief that, do I think belief in God is irrational? Yes, but let me be clear. I do not believe that believing one irrational thing makes someone completely irrational.
Okay.
As also, I also think that certain beliefs that come from a belief in God are also rational. Like, for example, we've seen, flat earthers become popular for some reason. And, if your belief in God causes you to believe that the earth is flat, you're an irrational person. If your belief in God causes you to believe that, the earth is 10,000 years old when we know it's billions of years old, then yeah, you're an irrational person.
Sure. And what would you, because you could use these examples of, like, say the cave example of a person who is seeing a shadow casted up upon a cave wall, and one of the three people that have been watching their entire life, watching the shadows be casted, one of them ventures out and sees, well, these aren't just shadows; they have 3D shapes, and there's these actual figures that are casting this. It would seem irrational to the two people that are sitting in the cave looking at the shadows, only being able to use what they have, at least as their disposal. So how would you define like irrationality in that regard? Like, would you say that it's more so a product of what you would know, or does it go beyond that? Because in the example of the cave, for example, it's irrational for the people sitting down because they have no experience of the outside.
Well, I usually do it. I usually do it on a case by case basis when it comes to irrationality,
Okay.
and the person by person is what I should say.
So the rationality is not like an all-encompassing thing necessarily that you would just label. It's more so indicative of the actual
specific person. Yeah, when it comes to, I guess, calling someone irrational, again, I'm sure it's with a lot of it. It's a person by person basis. Like a certain YouTuber I've responded to several times by the name of G-Man. I would absolutely call G-Man irrational. But when it comes to someone like,
I'd go on the record and say I would agree with you on that.
Yeah, exactly. But when it comes to someone like, say, a person of history of faith, like, say, Isaac Newton, what I call Isaac Newton irrational because he believed in God. No, he was a very smart man, so to speak.
Sure. And so, like for that example, you would say it's not. It's more so what is the amalgamation of that, not necessarily like I believe in God, therefore I'm irrational.
Yeah, I get. I just thought of something. It's how their belief in God affects them, so to speak.
Great. That's a wonderful answer.
Yeah.
What do you think the world? This kind of be my last question, I guess, before I hand it back to Oz. But what do you think the world would look like in about 10 minutes from now, if, say, that God that you don't believe in existed? Do you think anything would change? Do you think there'd be any difference?
Well, not to be picky, but I would have to ask which God would appear before me.
Sure, that's lovely
yeah.
response.
And
let's say Yahweh.
Let's say Yahweh.
Yeah.
As I've said many times before, would I acknowledge his existence? Absolutely. And I'm sure this is going to make me unpopular, but would I bite the bullet and repent? Absolutely. Because obviously I don't want to be tortured for eternity. It'd be like reluctant repentance, but repentance nonetheless.
Sure. Yeah. I would actually, I'd understand that position. Well, I appreciate you answering those questions. I think it's very honest. For me, anti-theism, I've had one interview with an anti-theist that was, I'm opposed to anybody even having the right to believe in a God. And so,
no, I'm not that, sir.
And I never thought that was a really indicative way to look at an anti-theist. But the way that I look at things is like words have usages to me, so I'm not gonna try to universally define everybody by that. But I think that gives me a pretty clear. I don't think we're actually that far off, to be fair.
Yeah.
So, cool. No, that was awesome. Thank you, gentlemen. And I want to
Thank you.
I want to rewind back to the first part of your guys' conversation. And Ranger, I think you hit on, and again, correct me if I'm wrong. I never want to misrepresent. You were talking about basically, Christian or religious, quote unquote, outreaches where they want to, whether it's bringing food or clothes or whatever it is, but in order to receive said food, clothes, support, whatever it is, that they have to, sit through a 3-hour-long sermon and get prayed for. Is that what you were alluding to?
Yeah, unfortunately I've seen plenty of videos where they will have, I guess, the food literally in a church, and while the people are eating, they will be preached to.
Yeah, it's and I wanted to be respectful of you and Mike's conversation, but I wrote that down because I wanted to come back to it. I was a part of that type of thing essentially my entire life. Mm-hmm. And I regretfully have to say that I was a speaker at many events, just like what you were talking about. And now being where I'm at, it disgusts me. It disgusts me that I was a part of it, and I can't change the past, but I can tell you it'll never fucking happen again. But it disgusts me that we, again, use a God or a belief or a penalty of hell or whatever to try to manipulate people. And then what we do is we hit them in their weakness. We hit them in a time of of weakness, where maybe they lost a job, or they lost a spouse, or whatever it is, and they can't, they don't have food to eat, they don't have clothes to put on their back, they don't, whatever that need is. In order for you to get it, you have to do what we say. I don't know of a greater manipulation tool than that, to strike fear in somebody's emotions, and then to dangle carrots, which are life necessities, mind you, clothes, food, support, things like that. Dangle those things in front of them in order to get a conversion into their belief system. But guess what? They fool them. The sad part is, not only do they fool the people, they fool themselves, because a lot of times, when they say, okay, well, if you want to be saved and you want to go to heaven and you want to know God, raise your hands. Well, all these hands shoot up. Why? They don't care about your God. They need to eat. They need clothes on their back. So everybody got played the fool. Like everybody. So what we did all this for show. This was a show. So I want to make sure we came back and hit that, because I don't think that's talked about enough, because in that scenario, everybody gets played the fool, and they have to, they have to humiliate themselves to get help.
Yeah, I agree. In fact, that's how a lot of prison conversion actually happened. If you go to a prisoner and present the idea of a God that will forgive them for anything, of course they're going to latch onto that. And in fact, there's I haven't watched it fully yet, but there was a film I want to say like 6 years ago called "Kidnapped for Christ." That pissed me the fuck off, and it definitely pissed me off when one of the main people who did the documentary, she said that we shouldn't blame the parents because they didn't know fully what was going on. I'm like, excuse me, these parents allowed this organization to kidnap their children, take them to a foreign country, which is illegal, by the way, under federal law, and then allow them to talk to them for like weeks at a time. As far as I'm concerned, those parents should have gotten their kids taken away from them.
Hold on. I gotta gather my.
I wasn't sure if you had heard of it or not, but yeah, there was a film. In fact, I think the YouTuber Jacqueline Glenn, and I think I want to say TJ Kirk, the Amazing Atheist, did videos on it. It was a documentary called "Kidnapped for Christ." They would pretty much take gay kids with mental disabilities, and I want to say take them down to, I think it was Puerto Rico, something along those lines.
I know I'm not supposed to have dead air time when we're live, but I've Ranger, I've heard of and even seen with my own eyes a lot of really, really dumbass shit from religion, like preposterous. That might be the most disgusting thing that I've heard yet.
Well, I mean, if I can mention to the people in the chat, I'm serious. Go look up a document. I haven't watched it fully myself. I think I only watched half it because I just got disgusted with it. But there was a documentary called "Kidnapped for Christ." Go and watch it. You'll be disgusted. And I would encourage you. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because as soon as I think I've heard it all, somebody like yourself brings something else that blows my fucking mind when it comes to religion. So you have my word. I'll probably start watching it tonight. Not because I'm looking for disgusting shit, but I'm always trying to look for, okay, how does religion outdo itself in its disgustingness?
And I think Jack and Glenn, because that's why I originally saw her video. Then I went to go watch the video. I only got through half of it because I was just so fucking disgusted. And she made a good point. And to like the reverse of all, can you imagine if we as non-believers had done this to believers? I guarantee you that shit would be national fucking news. And for some reason, I don't understand, that documentary was not national fucking news.
Well, let's make it. Let's I'm not even kidding. Let's make it. That is, I'm gonna view it first, and social media, you just got to know how to play the game, and I'll talk to our guys too, because we have a few guys on our team that when it comes to social media and causing an uproar, they know how to strike those chords. That's if I'm gonna go view it, and if that's the case, that needs to be exposed for what it is. That is disgusting.
Exactly. I want to say the documentary is like, I want to say 6 or 7 years old, just FYI. But yeah, I completely agree. I'll help any way I can.
Yeah. Oh, and since you brought it to light, absolutely. Anything that we may do, with it, and I'm always going to watch it first. I respect you, and so far I trust you. But even in my professional life, I always say, trust, but verify.
Yeah.
So I trust you, but I'm going to verify. But if that's what it is, that needs to be talked about. That needs to be exposed, because that. I keep saying disgusting. That's not even a word for it. That is ridiculously illegal. The amount of trauma. I mean, it's abuse. It's neglect on the parents' part. Like that's so fucked up. So yeah, thank you for bringing it to light, and we'll dig into that. And going back to how all that came up was the going out and essentially humiliating people. In order to get them what they need to survive in life is, to me, I use the word disgusting, and now I can't even use it. Now I'm just going to say it's sad because it's nothing compared to what you just shared.
Yeah.
But that's where I would share your view as an anti-theist, where I don't want your religious ties sewed into our society and sewed into our culture. We don't need it. And it's proved to be a detriment when that happens. So go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean. I was gonna say exactly like I'm assuming all three of us live in the United States, and I think it's fucked up that if you want to run for a political office and you say that you're an atheist, you will have no chance. Even in 2020, you still have no chance of winning as an atheist if you run for public office in this country. Probably no chance.
Yeah, we only have one openly declared atheist that has ever sat in an office so far. That's been over a city, a state, or the country, and that was actually Michael, like this, the former wrestler Jesse Ventura. He's the only one. Like he's the only one who's been vocal about his atheism that's sat in a prominent office.
That surprises me on how that he's an atheist, because he is a conspiracy nut. He'll believe anything you tell him.
Yeah, well, he's a former roid head too, so there you go.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, at least it's funny how one of the most conspiracy nut person in the world is actually probably the most honest out of all of the politicians that have ever existed.
Yeah, absolutely. But Jesus, Mike, do we have some questions for Ranger, myself, or you?
We do. So some of these might be out of order, and I apologize. I'm a co-host. Don't shoot me, okay? I'm not trying this shit out, so just bear with me, audience there. But I had a question for Ranger. It was about flat Earth. I'm sorry. Here we go. What about the non-religious ones or agnostics that believe in flat Earth? Do you I think that's in reference to the irrationality or the rationality.
Oh, I really can't comment on that because I've yet to meet a non-religious person or agnostic who believes in flat Earth. But what I call them irrational, abs-fucking-lutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Honest. Very honest.
Hold on. Not just absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely.
Exactly.
The follow-up to that would be, what do you think drives them towards that belief?
Obviously, with theists, I would have to say probably the Bible or any other holy book, possibly. As far as non-religious people who believe in flat Earth, I have no fucking idea. You'd have to ask them.
Yeah, you hit that right on the nail. I think I'd agree with that. It's one of those things where it's like you either read Genesis and you read the part about the firmament and you interpret that the way you do, or you just
Or you got dropped on your head when you were a baby. That's all I can say.
Or you stand at the earth and you go, it looks flat to me, therefore it's flat. And that's just incredulous. We got one more, I think, question. Here we go. Sam, are you a skeptic when it comes to everything, or is there anything that you would accept on face value? If so, why?
I don't know. What do you mean by face value? Like if somebody told me they had a puppy, I'd probably believe them because people have puppies. But as far as extraordinary claims, yeah, I'm not going to believe them.
I was going to use
at least right off the bat.
I was going to use the exact analogy, except I was going to say
we go.
dog.
Yeah,
I was going to say dog.
Yeah.
But yeah, to elaborate on your point, it's mundane claims or just regular, just out of the things that happen. Like even if you told me that a solar eclipse happened and a bunch of people saw it, like I'm probably not going to believe you. But if a bunch of people told me, okay, maybe I'll believe you because it doesn't change my worldview. But if you told me like the sun punched the moon into a place where it caused the solar eclipse, it's an entirely different claim, and I'm not going to believe that on face value.
But that would be one hell of a boxing match.
Yes, it would. And especially if we didn't notice.
Yeah.
If all we saw was a cast of light, yeah, that's even more fucking miraculous. I think we got one more question. Probably not. Let's see. We did have a comment though from Sam. Was if you can remember, check out a comment called "The Second Coming." God is literally a villain in that story. It's freaking awesome. I played D&D for the first time, and my character is Yeshua, and it's the alternative Jesus timeline where he realizes God is kind of a dick for doing the whole slavery thing and hating gays. And so basically his alternative version goes off and sides with Baphomet. It's pretty awesome.
I mean, isn't the entire Bible just from the comic book without pictures?
Yeah, it really is. You don't get
No. That's why you get the children's Bible, because then you get the Bible and the fucking pictures.
Or
exactly.
you can wait for Bart Ehrman's new graphical.
Oh God, not Bart fucking Ehrman. Oh,
dude,
God.
Bart Ehrman. I disagree with a lot of stuff he says in terms of like his like sometimes the way he'll describe certain positions, but in terms of his biblical knowledge, oh my gosh, dude's insane.
Well, he's been doing it his whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be like saying, Austin, you better know sales. Yeah, I've been doing it my whole damn life. I better know sales. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Ehrman and
well, here I'm sorry to cut you off, but I got a question. Then who do you like then, sir? If you're not who would be your like go-to information for biblical, just any kind of biblical source or anything that you would take with credibility based on the track record and the verification?
So you're talking to me or him?
You, sir.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm sorry. That's a tough one. I really don't watch a whole lot of like that many theist versus atheist debates, but I'd probably have to say either Dan Barker or David Silverman.
Okay, respectable. Yeah, no, I feel you there. I started getting more into like watching debates and stuff more out of like a nostalgic thing, because I remember my buddy would show me like Hitchin debates, and at the time like all that shit would go over my head, and I'd just be like, well, I know that guy won, but I really don't know what he said. It was too intelligent for me to figure it out. And then like now I've gone back over and watched them and been like, oh my gosh, that's fucking brilliant, you know?
Yeah, I actually have a playlist on my channel called like debates that I made myself. I didn't make the videos in the playlist, but most of those debates are either like Matt Dillahunty, David Silverman, and Dan Barker.
Yeah, sure.
And if I could just add my 2 pennies in on that, not that it's worth much, but I think asking, like, it's a cool question to ask, like, for, when we're doing live feeds like this, or, you're having an open discussion, maybe on a Discord or that kind of thing. It's fun to talk about it there. But at the end of the day, if you're talking about where you take, biblical knowledge or understanding from, the problem is if you're taking it from a man and you're not just picking up the book and reading it on your own, you're getting his spin. You're getting his sales job on it. because anybody that's getting behind a microphone and either sharing or debating the gospel of Jesus Christ, the Bible, you're getting their interpretation. You're getting their sales method that's attached to that. That's why I have that's why I have problems with whether it's Ehrman, Craig, Turek, any of them. Like, you're just getting their spin. It's spin, spin, spin. You're getting that from them. So that's why I have a hard time saying, oh, I listen to this Christian guy because I learned something. Well, no, because I can read the Bible on my own. I'm just getting their spin on it, and that's why I struggle with that.
I got another question. I guess this is for all of us. Do you think it's possible for people to? I'm sorry, I can't read. For people who have been atheists to go back to religion, and if yes, why do you think so? Or do you think that maybe they were never fully an atheist? I'll let Ranger, since you're our guest, you start that off.
Well, it is possible. I've seen more than obviously. I've seen enough atheist to theist testimony, or in my case, atheist to Christian testimony. As to why, I'd probably have to say either pressure. In my personal opinion, I'm not going to sit here and know all about people's lives, obviously, but if I had to guess, I'd say either pressure from their family. Because I know, because obviously we can look at plenty of stories where families, just cut people off for either being atheists or gay or whatever it is. But I'd have to say either, just, I guess, pressure from wanting to be back in the family fold.
Yeah. It would also, for me, it's like it depends on what you are defining as atheist. But if you're saying an atheist is someone who doesn't believe a God exists, then yes, that's possible for them to believe a God exists at some point. Is it possible for someone like me who's an atheist, who's an agnostic atheist, who doesn't know? Yes, because potentially there could be evidence. What would that look like? I don't know. I'm also under the impression that it could be completely beyond my comprehension anyway, and for that matter, I just don't care. But it's not my problem. So,
well, and if if somebody goes from atheist to claiming they believe in a God, I would have to I really need to sit down with you and figure out what evidence you came to, because like present day right now, do you understand what would have to happen to get Oz to again say that there's a God after all the research and time and everything I've invested into this? Like, literally, he would have to sit on my lap. He'd have to sit on my fucking lap. So I'd have to see that evidence. That'd have to be some really, really solid fucking evidence.
Yeah. Yep. That's a good question, though.
Yeah.
I think we had one more question. Nope. That's about it. I would want to tack on one more thing to that, though, just to, because if yes, why do you think so? I don't think I fully responded to that, and the latter of that as well. Because evidence can be presented, or people can believe something for the wrong reasons. Like, so I could be an atheist. I could believe in whatever God. We could pick any God. And that God could either exist and I believe it's true, or that God not exist and I believe it's true. Either way, I can come to the conclusion independent of whether or not that God is actually existent or not. So, to answer the second part is like, were they ever fully an atheist? Is, well, if you lacked the belief of a God, if you're not worshiping a God, or you're not, talking or thinking to a God, or thinking a God created something, then yeah, you were an atheist. So it's just like saying, were you fully a Christian? Of course you were a Christian because you believed in Christ at the time. You're trying to mix the present state with the past state of being a believer, and that being the actual definitive nature of being a Christian or an atheist. So I think that's, for me, that's a good question, but people can change their mind.
Anybody can change their mind, but
Yeah, it's
What's
independent.
your evidence? Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is my whole distinction is it's independent of whether or not it's true. The question it more so pertains to just what the person believes. That's why there's a difference between knowledge. I mean, that's why there's.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Because it does. It's just like the disciples. If they believed this to be true, or like Paul believed that he had a Damascus Road experience and he believed it was supernatural, he can think it's true, and those disciples can die for just absolutely being convinced, but that doesn't change the fact that it's independent of whether or not it is true, because we have people that fly planes into buildings because they think something is true. We have a woman, was it Andrea Yates, that drowned her kids in a tub because she thought it was true. I mean, there's just no shortage of examples you can use, and you don't even have to use the religious context. You can use the secular context. People will do things for something they think is true. They could thought that their girlfriend cheated on them and they kill her and it not be true, but they were very convinced it was true. It's just people. I don't understand how that laps people's mind and their judgment in determining the criteria for something to be true.
Yeah, and that's where that's where I lost when I was listening. That's where I lost that part of that comment. There's a difference between believing and having knowledge, and that's why they call Christians believers, not knowers. Like, you don't know, you believe. You have faith.
Exactly.
You don't know. So no, totally.
Yeah, I think I should have made a better distinction, but it's just like I'm so sick of this. Like when I debate the resurrection with somebody, or we have a conversation with any element where it's like, well, these people believed it to be true. It's like, I don't give a shit. I can believe Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls are alive. It does not make it true. It doesn't matter how much I believe it's true, and it doesn't matter if I'm tortured for thinking it's true. It does not make it true. It's a dumb like way to act, and I will say that on record. It's a dumb way to think something is true. It's just idiotic in my opinion. You've just lost. So you've lost your sense of reason when that's convincing to you.
Yeah, that's one of the problems I see with religion is people who think they have, who want to think they have the answers, really don't.
Yeah. Well, if that's the case, if Biggie and Tupac are alive, then I'm fucking saying Kurt Cobain's alive, and Elvis is alive, and Mac Miller's alive. Like,
why do you
all these
think
people are alive?
Why do you think it's true, Austin?
Because I fucking said so.
Yeah, right. Because you feel it to be true, right? So
I believe it in my heart, and I have faith that Mac Miller and Kurt Cobain and Elvis Presley they're all out on an island just making genius fucking music all by themselves.
Yep.
I don't give a shit what you say, Mike. Go crawl back into that little hole there behind you.
Yeah, I will.
You know what? I'm about to say it. Okay. So, I don't care that you broke your elbow.
That's what I have to say to you, sir.
Sit
I
down.
didn't see any of that.
That was fantastic.
I've been saving that one for a juicy moment.
Oh, that was so juicy.
If we get copy strike for that, I'm gonna go. Are you serious? A kid like a sixth grader in a computer lab is a copyright worthy. Are you serious? I'm gonna lose my shit.
Yep, and then we're gonna send you poison food. So
yeah.
Pasta.
Yeah, I was pulling it up.
Yeah, pasta. Chase can be a mod. I was totally kidding. I like Chase. I was totally fucking around.
We need theist mods just so that we look indifferent, or we don't look like we're taking sides.
Yeah, and I thought he said it because I typically don't even pay attention to the comment section because I get distracted. But with it just being two people, I've been trying to keep an eye on it. And I thought maybe Chase was in there, and that's why he said that, and I was talking shit. But all right, we'll wrap this up, and we'll do a brief after party after this with Ranger, We talked to him about that beforehand. Mike, I know you have some schoolwork to take care of, brother. We're done. So if you can jump on, a little bit, obviously,
if I get it done, I've got two assignments to do. If I get done, for sure.
Yeah, you're always more than welcome. But before we do sign off, Ranger, thank you so much for taking time out of your night to hang out with us tonight. And I just want you to know, you go back and watch it. You've got mad love in the comment section tonight, and people appreciate you and your what you've brought to the table tonight. And before we close out, I always like to do this as our guest. Mike, if you would, real quick, just throw his links up there as we close out. If you could do that for me, brother. Sure. But Ranger, before we close out, is there any closing words, any thoughts that you'd like to share with the listeners before we sign off?
Just think for yourself. Don't take anything on faith. Faith is inherently dishonest, honestly. Just all I can say is think for yourself, and hopefully you'll come to, and whatever conclusion you come to.
Perfect. So, and Mike, thank you for your help in the background tonight and coming on. And you guys had a great conversation there for a little bit and helping with the questions and all that.
Yep.
And like I said earlier, Pasta and Jeff and Steve and everybody that helps, even our mods. We got a couple mods in the chat room tonight. Thank you guys for what you do. It was a great show. We appreciate it, and we'll have the after party link up here in the next few minutes. And remember, tomorrow night we're off, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday it's going down. Make sure you're there. If you can make the time to be there, be there. If not, you can watch it later. But that's all we got to say tonight. Mike, you want to close it out for us?
Yes, sir. So we have some pretty awesome things planned. I'm excited to tell you guys about. I'm not going to get into the full details, but we just released that one video. It was kind of a little different series that we normally would do, but I'm working on a couple things. I know Austin's got some ideas. Steve's got some ideas. So we will have more content that goes beyond just the live streams. We're really excited for it. So just look out for that. And with that all said, we love you, and be safe.